I get started with our introductions as people continue to join the webinar. Uh, Looks like the numbers are still increasing. So good evening. I'm Joel Angelillo, one of the members of the Metro West Climate Solutions Steering Committee. We are very happy you could all join us tonight. The Metro West Climate Solutions is a partnership of local groups who want to speed our path to a healthier carbon neutral world. A partnership that includes the First Parish of Wayland, First Parish of Weston, First Parish of Lincoln, and a growing list of other local organizations. Tonight, we're partnering with CFREE. That stands for Carbon Free Residential, Everything Electric. It's a subcommittee of the Lincoln Green Energy Committee. CFREE provides guidance on how households can reduce their use of fossil fuels and decrease greenhouse gas emissions. It also provides information about state and federal incentives that help reduce the cost of such changes. Well, since 2019, Metro West Climate Solutions has been holding monthly public meetings and webinars on climate-related issues. Topics have ranged from Beacon Hill legislation to offshore wind pumps to tonight's topic, reuse. If you would like to receive news of upcoming Metro West Climate Solutions events, as well as events hosted by other groups, go to metrowestclimatesolutions.org to sign up for our newsletter. I'll put that URL in the chat later. At metrowestclimatesolutions.org, you will also find recordings of previous sessions, thanks to Jeff Bloom. Speaking of which, this session is being recorded and will be available soon on our website. We encourage you to ask your questions. Please type your questions using the Q&A button on the bottom of this screen, not your chat, to make sure we see those questions come in. Just first, before we get started, a quick word about carbon emissions. Upfront carbon emissions, also called embodied carbon, are carbon emissions that were the result of the making, transporting, and installing of materials. We often focus on the ongoing carbon cost of, say, heating and cooling a home or driving a car, but we forget about the carbon cost of making that home or the car itself. The average home contains about 30 to 40 tons of upfront carbon without all its furnishings. We spend another 5 tons every year heating or cooling said home. You might think that embodied carbon is simply lost carbon, the carbon in our doors, our windows, furniture, appliances, and silverware, etc., etc. But this lost carbon is saved carbon if those products are reused when you no longer need them. For one, embodied carbon is not burned or buried, and for another, it reduces the carbon needed to make new stuff. Later, I'll put a link in the chat to a very good short article on embodied carbon by CFREE. It's a quick summary of the importance of this concept of embodied carbon. But let's turn our attention now to solutions to the problems we face. I turn the virtual mic over to Bridget Bieber from Household Goods in Acton. Bridget spent 20 years practicing corporate law, and then in her second career, she found Household Goods, where she served as the volunteer program director for 10 years. She retired from that position, but has stayed on as both a volunteer and a member of the board. At Household Goods, she has been working on corporate governance and the organization's strategic plan. So I'm going to turn this over now to Bridget. Welcome, Bridget, and I think you're going to share your screen.
I am, and thank you so much for including Household Goods in this terrific event. Let me get my screen share on here. Okay, hopefully you can see my screen now.
Yes,
Wonderful.
we can.
Terrific. Okay, so I'll get started. So again, thanks very much for including Household Goods in your event tonight. And one thing about Household Goods that people may not know, our former name was Household Goods Recycling. So when the organization first started, that's what we were known as. So we are very much into reusing whatever we can. So for those who don't know us, Household Goods is a furniture bank. And what we do is provide a full range of furniture and household items free of charge to help people in need make a home. Our corporate vision is that everyone in Massachusetts has the opportunity to furnish their home. We provide all of this furniture free of charge, both to the clients that come in to obtain items and also to the agencies that refer them to us. And this is saving thousands and thousands of pounds of unneeded furniture from landfills on an annual basis. So our founders, this is a picture of them. I love them and they've changed my life. This is Barb and Ira Smith, and they're a local couple from Acton, Massachusetts. And 35 years ago, when they were in their 60s, Barbara acted as the corporate secretary for her local church. And one of the members of the church told Barb that the church was hosting a family from El Salvador that was fleeing political violence. And they had a place for this family to live, but they didn't have any furnishings for them to put in their home. So they asked Barbara to put a notice in the church flyer. Well, Barbara did so, and she put in the flyer that any donations for this family could be dropped off at their house. Well, lo and behold, they were overrun with donations for this family, and they had plenty for the family to furnish their entire apartment, including beds, dressers, tables, chairs, with furniture left over. So Barb and Ira started looking around for other people that might be in need, and there were plenty to be found. And they had a little red truck at the time, and they would, on their weekends and evenings after work, deliver furniture to local families that were in need. By word of mouth, the Acton Housing Authority found out about Barb and Ira, and before they knew it, their names were in the Acton Housing newsletter as a source to take donations of furniture that you no longer needed. Well, Barb and Ira live in a fairly large house, but before they knew it, their carport was full of furniture, their garage was full of furniture, and their driveway was full of furniture covered in tarps. And the phone was ringing off the hook with people in need looking for furniture. And I can remember when I first moved to the area 35 years ago, hearing about Barb and Ira, but I didn't really know who they were. I just knew that the Smiths were a local couple in town that helped people find a home for things they no longer needed. So fast forward, here we are 35 years later, and we have a beautiful 25,000 square foot building, and we've serviced thousands and thousands of families in need, furnishing their homes. So many people coming out of homelessness, veterans who've simply had a hard time, people coming out of rehab, families who have had to flee political violence in other countries, or families who have simply come to the area trying to make a fresh start. Those are all the types of people that we service at Household Goods. Everyone that comes to us is referred by some kind of a social service agency, and we count on those agencies to do the vetting for us. Anybody that's vetted through a social service agency comes to us by appointment only, and we have a center full of volunteers ready to help them, sort of as their personal shoppers, go through our facility and take whatever they need to furnish their home, with a few limits based on family size. So in 2024, we were able to furnish over 3,000 homes. We provided over 90,000 items, and we had over 300 social service agencies who made referrals to us. One of the things that's the most important thing for Household Goods is that everyone who comes through our door, whether it be a client, an agency that we might talk to on the telephone, a donor who drives up to drop off their donations, everybody is treated with dignity and respect. The clients are welcome to Household Goods regardless of the circumstances that brought them to us. We don't make any judgment. We're just there to help. So how do we do this? Well, we have people who donate their household items to us. Without our donors, we couldn't do what we do. We have a number of organizations and individuals that donate funds to us. Without money to keep our lights on, we also wouldn't be able to do what we do. And of course, volunteers. We have a very small staff at Household Goods. There are only 6 people on staff, paid staff, but we have over 1,600 volunteers who come in, some on a daily basis, every day we're open, some come in 3 times a week, some come in once a month, and some do one-time volunteer opportunities with groups that they might be with. For example, school groups, church groups, volunteer or other volunteer organizations, corporate groups come in and help us out. So we really are very much a volunteer-run organization. So what are the kinds of donations that we take? Well, this is a picture of a couch with a cat. Obviously, it's not the kind of couch that we would want to provide to a client. So I have to say that when I first started volunteering at Household Goods and donating to Household Goods, I didn't really understand what made a nice donation. We take donations, everything from couches to tables to lamps to sheets and towels, small decorative items and artwork. We have volunteers that look at everything that's donated to make sure, number one, it meets our donation guidelines, and number two, that the condition is such that we would be able to give it out to a client in need, and have them take that item, put it in their home, and be proud. So condition is very important. And I have to say, I've learned a lot about that over the past 15 years working at Household Goods. Even when I donate clothing now to organizations, I look at my donations with a very different eye. I really want to make sure that what I'm donating is going to be useful to the organization that I'm giving it to and doesn't create a burden to them. So here's a chicken with a harness. While it might be a very useful item, it's not really something that Household Goods would be able to give to our clients to help furnish their homes. So it really does make a difference what people donate. We want to put donations to good use and have them end up in someone's home, again, being used. So if you're making a donation, look at it carefully. Make sure it meets your organization's guidelines. Just because somebody could use it doesn't mean it's going to be useful for the organization. So not all donations can make the kind of difference that we want them to. Nonprofits have to pay for disposal costs of items that are either unworthy of giving to our clients, or we're unable to give them to our clients for some other reason. We have to then deal with them and move them on. We do everything we can to use everything that comes in our door and give it away to clients. But there are some items that are either too soiled to be able to use, or sofas that have a rip or a stain on them, a mattress that has evidence of something that we wouldn't want to pass on to a client, for example, a broken chair, etc. So we do everything we can to make things, to fix things if we can, like glue a chair leg. But really, we need to have items donated to us that are ready to go out the door. It's just more efficient, and it gets it into somebody's hands a lot faster as well. And it also helps to keep our disposal costs down. So clean, good condition furniture, it meets our guidelines, and it helps people make a home. We have our donation guidelines on our website, householdgoods.org. We also answer a lot of phone calls. We have people send us pictures of items they're interested in donating, and we're happy to get back to people and let them know whether their donation is something that we can use or not. This is a picture of our showroom. This is the main area of our showroom, and we have rooms off of this that you can kind of see in the background. And this is an example of what our showroom looks like. Again, one of the most important things to us is that our clients who are referred to us feel as if they're in a furniture showroom. We want them to have the dignity of choice. Some furniture banks will offer items to their customers or their clients, and they'll pick them out for the clients, and the clients will come and pick them up and take them home. We really want our clients to get a sense that they have the dignity of choice. So when a client walks through our doors, the first thing that we do is assign them a volunteer who will walk them through the showroom and help them pick out something that's going to fit into their home. They're welcome to sit on the furniture, make sure it's comfortable before they decide to take it with them, etc. We have tables in the background. We'll help them pick out tables and chairs that will meet the needs of their family size. Furniture, tables, bookshelves, storage items, bureaus, mattresses, bed frames, uh, pictures on the wall, dishes, sheets, towels, everything that you can imagine that someone might need to start a new home that's empty. Those are the kinds of items that Household Goods um, accepts as donations and then gives out to our clients. Here's a picture of some of the mattresses. And yes, we do give away used mattresses. They are gently used. All of the items that are given to us by our donors are examined extremely carefully. In the case of mattresses, we do at least 4 inspections on them to make sure that they're clean, there's no staining, they're not ripped, they're not torn, they're in good usable condition, and that there's no sign of any kind of insect infestation. As a final stop, we do have a bed bug sniffing dog that works on site at Household Goods on a daily basis, and she's sort of our last check to make sure that we don't have any problems that we might be passing on to our clients. That's the last thing that we would want. Here's a picture of some of the bed frames. All of the items that come into us are usually dropped off at our center by donors. We're open for donations on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays from 9 until noon. So we often have a stream of cars, moving trucks, people pulling trailers, dropping items off at our facility in Acton. Once the items come into our showroom, everything is very carefully checked. In the case of bed frames, which often have multiple pieces, we actually have groups of volunteers that spend the time to take each bed frame and put it together to make sure that we have all the pieces, all the hardware. Everything is then taken apart again. It's labeled. We use a number system to keep all the parts together. All the hardware is bagged, and then we put it out for clients with these nice labels so that it makes it easier for clients as they're shopping to pick out the bed frame that they'd like to have to go home with their bed. And then we can be assured that when they get home, they have everything they need to put that bed frame together. Here's a section of our lamp area. Again, all the lamps are checked. We check the wires. We make sure they have a new bulb so that when a client gets home, they can put that lamp on the table and plug it in and they're ready to go. Towel sets. Everybody gets a towel set when they come to Household Goods if they need one, assuming we have the stock, of course. All of our volunteers spend the time to go through all the towels and all the sheets. They look at each piece, they measure the sheets to make sure they know the size. Everything's tied up in a nice package like this and then labeled for the clients so that they can simply come in, pick out the color that they like, and then take it with them. So last year we had 1,600 volunteers, and they contributed over 60,000 hours of volunteer work to join Household Goods. So they did everything from manage the floor, meaning help the clients as they came in. We call that a shift when our clients are coming in. We have usually 14 families at a time come into Household Goods over a 3-hour period. Some days we have 2 shifts, some days we have 1 shift. We're open 6 days a week for client visits. So that adds up to a lot of people. And each of those clients gets a volunteer to help them shop. And then we have other volunteers who spend their time helping clients pick out specific items in each room. And then we have movers who help our clients load up the trucks and pack up their goods so that they can safely drive them home. So behind the scenes, we have volunteers who check items, vacuum rugs, vacuum every couch that comes in, check all of the hard furniture, the drawers in the dressers, for example, make sure they're empty. You wouldn't believe some of the items we find when they're dropped off by donors. We've gotten dressers full of paperwork. We've gotten dressers full of pills, which we have to then take to the police station and drop off in the pill recycling. We even had somebody donate a dresser that had a lot of old documents in it, including a war document signed by President Abraham Lincoln. When we found that, we ended up going back to the donor. We knew who it was, and that piece was auctioned off, and they ended up splitting the proceeds with us because we turned it back over to them. So that was very nice. But be sure if you're donating anything, check the drawers first, make sure that they're empty. And we've also found numerous golf clubs under couch cushions. So not to mention channel changers. So make sure everything's cleaned out before you donate it. So our website is householdgoods.org. If you have questions, you can email info@householdgoods.org. And I thank you very much for your time. And if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I could talk about household goods forever. So.
Thank you, Bridget. What an amazing operation you're running, and what a significant impact you've had. Over 3,000 homes and 90,000 items. That's pretty impressive, including a couch with a cat.
Yep,
Uh,
and that's only 1 year. So we actually gave away our millionth item last
yeah,
year.
yeah. One thing that you mentioned about the trash, it brought a memory back to me, many years old, where we were running a community yard sale, and we were collecting donations from anybody in the community for this yard sale, and the money would go to as building a play set at the school. Anyway, we got a pickup truck, and on Saturday we drove all our town picking up stuff. And frankly, a bunch of the stuff was people were just getting rid of junk. And they must have thought, oh, here, they're going to come with a pickup truck and clean out my basement for me with this stuff, rusty tools. And I remember there was one commercial mangle, which I never even knew what a mangle was until that. It's for pressing clothes. It must weigh 600 pounds now.
Wow.
So how do you deal with that? They're good people who want to donate stuff, but you realize this really isn't part of your bailiwick.
Yeah, that's a very difficult thing to manage because, again, we want everybody to feel respected when they come to us, including our donors. And we always assume that everyone has a good intention. And that's where it goes back to not everything that you think can be used by someone is something that we are able to use. So we try to be very clear upfront with our donors. We have our donation guidelines on our website. I spend usually every Tuesday answering phone calls and scheduling our donation pickup trucks. And I answer a lot of questions from people calling in about goods that they want to donate that we might not be able to accept. So one of the things that we often do, and we actually have it on our website too, if you have something that we can't accept, we have a list of other organizations that might be able to use it. And we're happy to share that with our donors. The other thing, for every person that we might disappoint, there's another person that is so thankful that, the dining room set that their parents had, that, their parents might have passed away recently and they want it to go to good use. And for every person that we disappoint, there's another family that, we can tell them your dining room set is going to be in someone's home, probably within days of you donating it to us. So, that helps take some of the sting away. But it is a very tricky issue All we can do is try to educate our donors on what our mission is and work very hard to sort of stick to that mission and keep our clients first.
Okay. And speaking of the clients, you sort of touched on this, but how do you find the clients, or how do they find you?
So we have over 1,000 social service agencies that we work with, and that can be anyone from a formal um, your town's social worker, for example, or a housing authority, or DCF, someone working with families that need assistance, veterans organizations. We get referrals from doctors' offices and hospitals. So we do a lot of outreach to those types of organizations to let them know that we're here. And word of mouth is huge. And I think that, we're the largest furniture bank in Massachusetts now. So I think we're pretty well known. And all of those agencies can refer their
Okay.
clients to us. So,
Okay.
that's how we get our clients, and there is no shortage. We currently have a wait list of about 8 weeks before we can get clients in the door. We're so booked up. So there is a huge need out there.
Okay. Okay. And we have a question from Barbara. Um, Gee, it says my internet connection is unstable. Hopefully you can hear me. Um, but a question from Barbara about lamps, and that she's noticed at
Yes.
her local transfer station that they're lamps without shades. And more generally,
Yep.
to just decorative items that people want to donate, knickknacks, etc. How do you
Mhm.
deal with both those things?
Oh, well, we love both of those things. So lamps without a lampshade, that's okay because we often will get a lampshade without a lamp. And so we have a group of volunteers that will match those items up. We also work with a number of different organizations around us. There's a lamp store in Concord, for those that might know it. They're a big supporter of household goods. They often have lampshades that they can't use, and they'll donate them to us. Um, so that's okay. If it's a lampshade without a lamp without a lampshade, or vice versa, as long as it's in good condition, we'd be happy to take it.
Okay.
Decorative items, those are the kinds of things that really make a home for people. I helped a family one day. It's okay if I tell a quick story. I helped a family one day shopping, and they had two little kids. And the little kids saw all the pictures, the framed artwork on the wall, and they kind of looked at their mom, and she looked at me, and I said, yeah, you can take as many pictures as you want, within reason. And the kids went down that whole wall that I showed the picture of on my slideshow, and they chose every picture they could find that had an animal in it. And those are the
That's
pictures that they took home. So the
okay.
decorative items are really the things that make a home for people, and that really helps with the dignity of choice.
Okay. That's a touching story. Um, One more question before we turn the mic over to Andrew, and it's from Karen, and she wants to confirm that if they have something, if someone has something they want to donate, they should first call you or send a photo or an email or something before just showing up to bring it. That's correct,
That's
right?
a
They should go to your
very good
website.
question. Yeah, that's a very good question. So check out the website, householdgoods.org. There's a list of our donation guidelines that's very, very clear. But if you have questions, you're free to call. You can send a picture. We'll look at it right away and get back to you. Most of the time, as long as you're following the guidelines, you can just show up. If you've got a bag of linens, just show up on one of our donation days, and we'll be happy to take it off your hands. But if there's anything you're not clear on, either condition or what it is, feel free to reach out. But you don't have to do that.
Okay, good to know. Okay, if you could stop sharing your screen, Bridget, and thank you very much again.
My pleasure.
And while uh, Andrew is going to start sharing his screen, and while he's doing that, I wanted to introduce him. Andrew Thompson has spent 12 years as a carpenter and a project manager working for general contractors in the greater Boston area. He stumbled upon Boston Building Resources, he says, a bit by accident, and was struck by the value of their mission and the opportunity to grow the organization. He began as a donations manager 2.5 years ago and has since moved to the assistant director position, where he works to advance BBR's mission by developing partnerships and sponsorship opportunities. And in case if you're really looking for a carpenter right now, Andrew's too busy with his work at BBR, so he don't send him an email.
I got some numbers though. I could help you out.
Okay.
Happy to network. Thank you everyone for having me. I'm here on behalf of Boston Building Resources. We are a nonprofit building material reuse center located in Roxbury Crossing, Massachusetts. My daughter likes to refer to it as a Goodwill Home Depot. Our mission statement here is we inspire, educate, and empower homeowners to increase the efficiency and value of their homes. So we focus on building materials, which are often referred to as C&D debris. And just a quick blurb about sort of what the scale of the issue here is. Building materials account for 11% of global carbon emissions. In the state of Massachusetts, our landfills are no longer accepting construction and demolition debris of any type. The state of Massachusetts exported 1.8 million tons in 2022, and it's gone up since. And about 30% of all solid waste in Massachusetts is construction and demolition debris. This is one of 11 transfer stations for construction and demolition debris in the state. So just to give you a small sense of the scale of what we're talking about, there are tractors driving on top of this pile. This place has a line of dozens of trucks that come through every single day. And all this stuff gets pushed onto rail siding. None of this is diverted to recycling. This is all just straight disposal. And we did a project where we put an apple tracker in some of our own materials that we were not able to sell through the store, porcelain sink that broke. And we figured out where it went. And like I said, it's all exported from the state. And this stuff wound up in the Dunn landfill in Rensselaer, New York. You're free to Google it. It's a bit of a horror show. Like many landfills, it is situated in a sort of a neighborhood that could use a little bit more engagement from social services. It's next to a junior high school. There's a lot of complaints from the public about the quality of the landfill, the pollution it brings to water and air quality. It's not great. So whenever we throw something out, which we try and avoid, but inevitable, waste is inevitable, it goes somewhere, and where it goes matters, and it often affects the kinds of people who are already burdened by other sort of social complications. So reuse is a wonderful thing because it's a climate solution, but it's also, I think, to Bridget's presentation as well, it's a tremendous opportunity. So not only is it a sustainable solution, we keep things out of the trash. That's sort of intuitively a great idea. In our particular zone of building materials, we really see it as a way to address housing equity and the affordable housing problem in Boston and beyond. So by selling things through a nonprofit that are reused, whether it's new donated stuff or salvage donated stuff, we're able to sell it for a fraction of what it would go for on an open market, which allows folks to come shop with us who are on a very tight budget to keep their homes in good repair. Keeping homes in good repair is sort of a basic framework around which communities build health, individuals build health, kids do better in school. The benefits of a stable home and good repair are many. And reuse is sort of all part of the circular economy. So I would encourage all of you to look for some cities in the United States that have deconstruction ordinances. This is like a legislation that passes that encourages builders and contractors, commercial or residential, in particular cities, to deconstruct buildings, take them apart, and make them available to reuse centers. And you can really create a circular economy through which you provide the material for stores to sell, you provide workforce development opportunities for people to do the deconstructing, and you create a market for affordable building materials that benefits everybody involved. Hennepin County in Minnesota is a tremendous example. This is where we hope Boston will head one of these fine days. And reuse, we believe, can grow. This photo is an oldie. So one piece of BBR's fun history is that on the lot where we currently have the reuse center was the place where the city of Boston's recycling program began. So in the early 90s, the founder of BBR would organize the block captains to go around Mission Hill and Roxbury, collect people's recyclables, and take them back to sort in these dumpsters, which I remember from my childhood. So once upon a time, curbside recycling was seen as pie in the sky, and now it's a thing we all take for granted. I believe that salvage and reuse can become that straightforward for us. The economy around it can grow, the culture around it can grow, and it'll benefit everybody. So that brings us to Boston Building Resources. So as I said, we are a nonprofit building material reuse center. We are currently the only one in New England. There used to be one in Springfield, Massachusetts that unfortunately is closed. It was founded in 1993 as a project of the Boston Building Material Co-op, which was founded in 1978, and we are on the same plot in Roxbury Crossing where we've always been. We process and resell materials valued at around $2 million in 2024. So that is what they would have sold for were we a conventional retailer. That equated to about 225 tons of materials. We served around 5,000 individuals. So that's customers, donors, attendees of our workshops, which we have a broad range of workshops, community events, sort of everybody that was in the BBR orbit in 2024. And we are lucky enough to be in a zero carbon building that we opened in 2021. It's about 8,800 square feet, which makes us pretty unique in the landscape of building material reuse centers. There are quite a few around the country. Most operate in somewhere between 60 to 100,000 square feet. So we pride ourselves on doing more with less. We price things to move them out the door as quickly as possible and to get them into the hands of the people who need them. Here are some photos of our sales floor. As you can see, it looks an awful lot like a hardware store. It's essentially what we are. We like to see that one on the left. It means we're busy and there's lots of folks coming into the place. Major product categories, windows and doors, lighting, plumbing fixtures, kitchen cabinets, anything you would expect to find in a hardware store or a big box home improvement retailer is a thing we would sell. That said, we pride ourselves on being creative. We are currently working through a large inventory of office furniture. We are a nonprofit. We have a budget to meet. And so anything that we think we would be able to sell that is useful to our customers is a thing that we're interested in receiving as a donation. Who do we serve? So we are open to the public. You may walk in any day we're open and do your shopping. Homeowners shop with us, renters, contractors, property owners, landlords, other nonprofits. We do a lot of work with educational institutions. We have a sort of unique pricing structure at Boston Building Resources. So there's a public price that everybody pays, but we have an income qualification program that's pegged to a percentage of area median income. And if you meet these qualifications, you shop at a steeper discount. So you're paying around 15% of what something would be worth in fair market value terms. And the overwhelming majority of our shoppers come from our local neighborhood. So this is Boston, Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, environmental justice communities in and around Boston. We are in the heart of the city, and most of our shoppers also come from the heart of the city, although we've got great stuff, so we attract people from all over the place. We had someone from Maine come in last week, which was lovely. These are some of our customers, some of our employees. We like smiling faces. We see a lot of them. You see on the left here, we also sell a range of new paint products. So it's a 99.9% post-consumer recycled latex paint product. It's called Amazon Paints. They predate the website. It's a great product. We sell it for an exceptionally low price. It's got great colors. It's pretty cool stuff. 99.9% post-consumer recycled latex paint. We also offer a broad array of educational workshops. So not only is our mission to keep stuff out of the trash and to make it available to people who need it, we also want to give people the skills they need to use that stuff in a way that's effective and helpful. So you could take a workshop with us around how to frame a wall, sheetrocking, plastering, tile, window rehabilitation, weatherizing your home, how to understand a heating system. We have an awful lot of workshops. They are very popular. They're really exciting. They're a really fun part of what we do. I'm quite fond of our workshops. We also have a deconstruction service. So this is a way to um, help contractors make the donation process really efficient. Instead of having to take the thing apart yourself and store it until someone can pick it up, we will come in and do the work for you. It's a great service. It's quite affordable. The fees we charge go to underwrite the work of our nonprofit, and we use it as a way to help our staff gain some great construction skills. And we are also a bit of a community resource in Roxbury. So we have a lot of public programming in addition to the workshops. We run something called the Toolbox, which is a networking event for women and gender diverse people in the trades. We have like a speaker series that's associated with this. It's a really popular event. We have community partnerships with the Boston Architectural College, where we bring in architecture students to model some of our reused kitchen cabinets or to design spaces to work with customers on some of their design questions for their homes, technical support. That's been a really fun partnership. And we have not quite as many as household goods, but we have a really robust volunteer group. We had over 85 individuals last year, many students from the local colleges, a lot of community members, and some other organizations that come volunteer with us. How can you support our work? There are many ways. Building materials donation is a great way. Um, to Bridget's point, we ask that people tell us what it is that they would like to donate before they bring it in. We have a really quick and easy form on our website, or you could call or send us an email. Donate your time. We have a lot of great volunteer opportunities. We have volunteers who help in the store. We have volunteers who teach workshops. We have volunteers who work in their own communities to help bring good materials into our program. We really thrive on volunteer energy. And if you are interested in being a part of what we're doing, we would love to learn about your skills and interests and how we could help each other do some good work. And donating money. So although we are a place that sells things, we have to fundraise around 40 to 30% of our budget every year. We sell things intentionally at a tremendous discount so that they are affordable and useful to the people that need them. But that means that we have a large fundraising burden to take care of every year, and every bit of support we get is helpful. Beyond that, spread the word. I was a builder in the city of Boston for almost 12 years, and I had no idea BBR existed. When I found out, I was shocked. I had flashbacks to everything that I had thrown out in the past, and I operate under the assumption that there is an endless amount of this stuff out there, and it's a logistics problem of how we get it into our organization and into the hands of the people who need it. So any awareness that can be spread is good awareness for us. This is our donations crew. This is David and Kenya. That is our lovely box truck and their smiling faces. We are out on the road 5 days a week picking up donations. We aim to be efficient, professional, on time. We really pride ourselves on being useful to contractors and other professional level donors, people for whom time is money. We are about our business. This is our email for donations inquiries. If you have any questions, please reach out. And this is my information. Feel free to give me a call or send me an email if you have any questions that we can't get to during this presentation. I would be delighted to tell you more about what we do. I think it's very exciting stuff.
Indeed, it is. And I must admit too, until I knew you, that I didn't know about Boston Building Resources either, that this service existed. And in Boston too, I'm impressed because
Yep.
real estate values in Boston would seem like, every square foot is going to be quite valuable. And you said like 8,800 square feet you have. Is there some need for expanding that or having a warehouse where land
Mhm.
fees are less expensive than West Roxbury or?
Yeah, yeah. So we are sort of in Roxbury Crossing proper at the foot of Mission Hill, right near the community college. Yeah, to your point, like we are fortunate enough that someone bought this property in 1978. Otherwise, we would not be where we are. One of the interesting dynamics that we encounter is many of the folks who shopped with us for a long time have spread out to places that are still affordable to live. So we see a huge need in a lot of the gateway communities around Boston, Lowell, Lawrence, Brockton, even out as far as Worcester. We would love an opportunity to do what we do in other places. Um, it's tricky for a scrappy nonprofit to capitalize for any kind of expansion like that. But we make do with storage containers and our good fortune and selling things as cheap as we can to get it out the door as fast as we can. But space is always a concern.
Yeah. And this is also, Bridget mentioned this as well. I imagine both of you receive items that may need a little TLC, that need a
Sure.
little glue here, a little screw there, maybe and how far are you willing to go to do those repairs on a sink, a door, or whatever?
Often for us, it becomes sort of like an unpleasant cost calculation. So we have paid full-time staff in addition to volunteers. Sometimes an item, we had a volunteer who took on this project of rehabbing an air compressor because he could not stand the idea of throwing it out. So he took it apart, he polished it, he refit some of the fittings, and he got it humming, and it works great. But often, if someone brings us a sink and it's very dirty or it's got a chip in it or something, we know the reality is we will probably end up having to pay to throw it away. So
Hmm.
if there's something that we think that we can fix pretty easily to make it saleable, we are delighted to take it. But often we wind up paying to toss things. And so we have to be careful about getting too ambitious. I personally am very fond of antiques and have taken in some really bizarre stuff that our customers are not at all interested in. So there's a couple Andrew albatrosses hanging around the store that I insist somebody will buy eventually.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's interesting. Bridget also mentioned the issue of having to toss stuff, which must be painful for you, when you.
It's not the best. Yeah, we do our best, right? So we have like the first Friday of every month, we call it First Free Friday. We will fill our parking lot with things that we would like to see walk away. We are happy to give stuff away for free if no one's going to buy it. That's usually pretty effective. But sometimes, a door is a weird size and it's too thin and it's got a ding in the bottom of it and no one wants it. And if we can't come up with a creative way to reuse it ourselves, it has to go somewhere.
Yeah. A little personal anecdote. I sometimes work at our swap shed in town. It's where
Hmm.
people drop off stuff. There's always a pile of dehumidifiers there, and these things
Hmm.
cost $100 or something like that. Well, I've gotten to the point where I can look if the buttons look good. It means it hasn't been used a lot, but it's been. And the first thing you do is just take off the filter cover and look at the filter
Yep.
because often there is a half an inch of dust that's turned into felt on top of the filter because I guess no one knew that that's something you should do with a dehumidifier periodically. You just clean off that filter, put it back, and it works fine.
Hmm.
But it ends up at the dump because either people didn't have the need for it or they feel like it's just not working. So sometimes it can be a small little repair, and other times you could spend a
Yeah.
half.
And we live in a world where many things are really cheap, and we are encouraged everywhere we look to solve our problems through buying more stuff. So it's often not the most intuitive thing for folks to try and repair what they've got already or figure out how to make it continuous useful life.
Right. Yeah, good point. Um, and I want to, Bridget, too, if you have any questions or final comments you would like to add, or any questions for each other, this is an opportunity to ask them.
Well, that was really, really interesting, Andrew. So I might have missed it, but do you all do pickups of items?
Sure. Yeah. We have a
Okay.
16-foot box truck. We're on the road every darn day.
Mm.
Wow.
Is it the
Some of
same
that
sort of
good
thing that
stuff.
people should go to your website and sort of check in first to make sure?
Yeah, yeah. We have open donation days, so Friday and Saturday from 10 to 2, you are welcome to come down with whatever you've got to drop it off. We may take it. We may tell you that it's not a good fit. But if you send us an email or fill out, we have like an online form on our website where you can upload some photos. That's the best way to do it. We
Yeah.
will usually just send out a truck to pick it up because that is convenient for everybody. Here's a question.
So I see a number in a Metro West area of what we call teardowns, where someone
Oh
will
yeah.
take what seems to be a perfectly good house and tear it down to build a bigger house. What do you do in those situations?
Well, in a perfect world, if the contractor doing that work gives us a call and says that we have this pile of a house that's going to be going into a dumpster, and we would love for you to take a look through and come up with some ideas about what's still useful. Uh, we do this all the time. I would go through the house and I would say, okay, there's low-hanging fruit here. There's kitchen cabinets, there's lighting fixtures, there's toilets and sinks. All of that's great stuff for our program. If somebody wants to pay for it, which is usually where the rub comes, we will take that house apart bit by bit. We will salvage lumber, we will salvage millwork, we will salvage windows and doors, and yeah, all of that stuff is often a really good fit for the program and really, really helpful to the people that shop with us.
Mhm.
All of these things have become significantly more expensive in the last, let's say 8 to 10 years. So everything that we bring through, windows, doors, lumber, bits of millwork, trim, tools, all that stuff is really appreciated.
Yeah. For both of you, what is the item that you're in most need of people donating?
Mm.
Hmm. Well, right now for household goods, small items, small appliances, toasters, toaster ovens, countertop microwaves, coffee pots, towels, sheets, and blankets. Those are some of our shelves are bare right now, and those are things that somebody was talking about having kids that they had to keep entertained. Next week, we have a lot of people that call with their elementary school kids that want to do something, and we tell them to do a drive for um, spoons, pot holders, kitchen towels, and then bring the kids to donate the stuff, and we'll take them on a tour. So it's
Oh,
small items right now that we're in really big need of.
get them engaged and involved young.
Yep.
That's right. You got to teach them young. Then they think that reusing stuff is cool and easy and like an
Yep.
obviously good thing to do.
Yeah.
Uh,
And Andrew, what are you most looking for?
I mean, what do you got? Is the real answer. But we see so a lot of our shoppers are we have the conundrum. We sell kitchen cabinet sets, but we have, let's say, a certain amount of shoppers in a given month, and there's only a limited number of those folks who are interested in a full set of kitchen cabinets. But things like lighting, bits of furniture odds and ends, tools, tiles, lumber, leftovers from projects, fasteners. I mean, if you go into a Home Depot today and you want a 5 pound box of screws, you're looking at like over $30, right, for ceramic coated screws. Even these small things like this can be prohibitively expensive for people who are trying to fix an immediate problem. Um,
So you accept nuts and bolts and screws
oh,
too?
sure, yeah.
Okay. Okay. I
We
missed that.
often find, or I often find anyway, that some donors are sort of interested in maximum benefit, and they can sort of overthink the scale of things we're talking about, right? Like it would be great for us to get brand new toilets and sinks and all sorts of stuff like that, but like a half sheet of plywood is a thing somebody probably really needs, and we
Mm.
could get it out the door to a happy person really quickly. Um, we sort of encourage people to have an open mind about what they would like to donate and to just ask, because we never know what our need is. Customers come in and ask us for specific things. They're working on a particular project and they're looking for A, B, C, and D. So we're always trying to come up with creative solutions.
One thing we could do better at the local communities, the transfer stations in all the towns in Metro West, people bring in stuff, and I've noticed this because as I said, I've worked at the swap shed sometimes, and they'll bring in, let's say, tile that's left over
Mhm.
from a project. Well, as you mentioned, our transfer station doesn't take tile. They don't take any building materials. And it seems to me the staff just says, no, we don't take that, as
Mhm.
opposed to, no, we don't take that. And what you can do. Uh, and that we need those sort of better resources at every single transfer station in Massachusetts. That's a good plug, opportunity for me to plug for everybody who did sign up for the webinar. We're going to distribute a one-page sheet that tells you where you can go, including household goods and
Oh,
BBR
fantastic.
to with your goods. And I'd like to see that posted at our transfer stations, which there's no such poster right now to tell people what to do with their stuff.
It's tricky, and I think, Bridget, I can speak to this from both of our organizations. We know who these people are as well. So there are plenty of opportunities where people come to us and they say, "Will you take a bed?" And I say, "Nope, but household goods sure will." We got called to a hotel downtown on Clarendon Street, I believe, maybe a year and a half ago, and they had all of their attic stock in the basement. They had piles of mattresses, like 15, 16 twin mattresses, brand new in bags. And I said, Boston
Mm,
Building Resources will not take this, but Household Goods certainly will. And I got
thank
Mike in
you.
the email, and we sent that stuff your way, right? Because
Yep.
there's an endless amount of this stuff out there, and it's a network and logistics problem. People need these things, and people have these things, and we have to just find a way to connect the donor to the person with a need. And whether that's giving something to someone for free or selling it, I am indifferent to the process, so long as we can make sure that these things find a happy home, because that is better than the trash.
Yep. We send 70 volunteers on graduation day to Boston College every year. You
Yep.
would not believe the amount of donations we get. The kids are moving out. They have to do something with it. So it benefits BC. They're not paying for the trash, and we get sheets, towels, lamps, sofas, rugs, etc. So you're absolutely right about that.
So, are there any final questions for our presenters? Don't see anything coming in the chat. We've come up to the end of our hour. Um, I just want to say one reason I just love both your organizations is that providing real solutions. I mean, it's easy to complain about stuff. I complain about stuff all the time. But here are two organizations that are providing real solutions, practical solutions to at least two problems. That is providing goods to low-income families as well as reducing waste. But I think there's more than that too, from what I've heard that you're doing. So I want to thank you both for giving your time here on Tuesday evening to share your experiences. And as was said, time and awareness is what you both want and need. And as much as we can provide the three, time, money, and awareness, and good stuff, not to forget that. So I want to, in addition, to thank Jeff Bloom, our tech resource here. Without his help, none of these free webinars would be possible. So thank him too. So I want to thank you very much. Any last words you want to say before we turn off?
I'll just say your extra item might be somebody's only item. So think about that at home.
Yeah,
Good words.
I would say the same. And what you just said there, Joel, beyond our local communities, for some folks can seem pretty frightening and overwhelming these days. And there's a lot of people doing great work in your backyard. And when I'm feeling down, I walk over to the reuse center and I see what people are experiencing, the things they're able to get, and I ask them, like, what are you going to do with this? And it's often something creative and cool and exciting, and it brings them some joy. And that is a wonderful thing to be able to participate in.
A good summary. Thank you very much. Wise words. And thank you all. And we will see you. I should have plugged next month on the 11th of March. We're going to have Emily Norton from Charles River Watershed Association talking about what they're doing, thinking about potential climate change issues in the Charles River area. So it should be an interesting talk from Emily Norton, the ED of Charles River Watershed Association. And we'll see you then.